And the scene is set on the outskirts of the city of Reno. Beneath an unassuming house, very rickety, very worn with age, paint sort of peeling off, battered and brought low by the ceaseless winds coming from the desert. Below, Dietrich Graves finds himself in the safe haven that the good father has given him, where he can conduct his less than savory experiments outside the purview of the kind, ensuring the masquerade remains upheld. He receives a phone call.
Dietrich, as he's performing one or two of his experiments and operating on a cadaver, the phone will ring, and a shuffling figure seems to emerge and and reveals itself as a naked corpse that seems to be walking around, and it will pick up the phone and then hand it over to Graves, who then holds the receiver on his shoulder and his ear as his hands are already busy operating on something, and he will respond in a quite a sort of interrupted tone of, "Yes, hello, what is it? I'm very busy."
Is this Dietrich Graves? There's a voice that you can only just vaguely recognize, a voice you haven't heard talk very often.
Yes, this is Herr Graves speaking. How can I help?
I'm calling on behalf of Father Alvarez. He requests your presence immediately in the ninth chapel.
As soon as you say that, his tone changes, and yeah, I see. Tell the good father I will join him shortly. You give me a few moments. I must make myself presentable. He looks to his
Of course,
bloody
says,
hands.
of course, says the voice on the other end. I would not dally too long, though. The father does not like being kept waiting. And with that, the phone will hang up.
Uh, as the phone is hanging on Dietrich's shoulder and ear, he goes, "Oh, yeah, McMuffin, get the phone, get the phone." Yeah, and this flesh-like corpse figure picks up the phone for him and takes it away. And right, I will be gone for some time. You will guard the bunker for me while I'm away. If there are any intruders, feel free to attack. Yeah? The cadaver responds in a voice. And Dietrich will get himself ready and clean himself up a little bit to go to the church.
After a modest drive from the outskirts of Reno, back more into the neon heart of the city, past all of the dens of sin and iniquity, to the Catholic Church of Reno, standing defiant, surrounded by the modern architecture of the city. As Dietrich gets out of the cars and walks within the church, you will find that there are no night services this night. It's completely abandoned, although the door has remained inconspicuously unlocked. As he walks down the passageway that leads to the tunnels beneath the church and to the night church itself, you will see a familiar person standing before the hidden entryway as Father Alvarez's ghoul, Father Escalara. He will say, "The Father is beyond. as you'll recognize that voice from the one that spoke over on the phone, as he, using the gifts bestowed upon him by the father, uses the same potence to just barely with his fingernails pull out the just ever so out of aligned brick, revealing the hidden lever and opening the door to the true sanctuary of the theocracy beyond.
Dietrich will take note of the ghoul managing to. It's quite a heavy stone or a heavy brick stone that's removed from the wall.
Yes, what makes it
Yeah.
particularly necessary to use such unholy gifts is that it looked like he was able to remove it just by barely having hold of it, like you would only be able to get your fingernails around the edges of the brick.
Oh, okay.
Something that any normal human would never be able to do.
Okay, so Dietrich will take note of that as it's an obvious sign that he's quite strong, and then proceed to the church, the dark church below the in the underground.
You'll find that the lights are already on in here, seeming to await your arrival, and you will see the good father sort of kneeling in prayer before the empty shrine that's at the very end of it. He does not look up as you approach, but silhouetted against the ground, the pathway that you walk towards him, you will see his shadow, that foggy, almost smoke-like, emancipated form. It seems to take notice of you far before the father seems to, as he sort of begins to rise from his prayer position.
Again, Dietrich, he'll look upon the father in a more interested in the shadow than the father himself, intrigued in its mysteries.
Actually, I didn't hear what you said. You sort of broke up.
Sorry. Basically, Dietrich will he'll walk up to the father, but his interest would be in the shadow itself, wondering what mysteries lay in it and what forces animate it.
As the father will see this and say, I told you already, it's rude to stare at another person's shadow, Dietrich. But I don't have time for these sort of formalities this evening. As he'll sort of gesture to his study.
Dietrich will quickly evade his gaze from the shadow, but still somewhat drawn to it. He's incredibly intrigued by such manifestations, but he'll carry on and follow the father.
As he closes the door to the study behind you, he will look at you and very frankly say, by my right as prefect of the Eparchy of Neon Shadows, Pontifex to the Theocracy faction within the city, I bestow upon you the rank of Initiate. Welcome to our coterie, Dietrich Graves. I would spare more formality, but like I said, I don't quite have the time for that this evening.
Dietrich, he'll look somewhat sort of slightly surprised and shocked, and it is quite an honour. I thank you. I did not know that I was worthy of such a position so soon.
As he will sort of cannot help but a little bit of a smirk as he will say, do not thank me yet, Dietrich Graves. As the rank of Initiate, you are what would be considered a probationary member of this coterie. You are able to ask for resources, and likewise, any mistakes you make will show badly upon our organization, but not to the extent that a member would. And your actions these following nights will determine whether or not you are to take the next step and become a true member of our coterie, upon which all of our resources and the rewards therein will be accessible to you, as well as the responsibility of upholding the spiritual well-being of this city and its kindred and kind inhabitants.
I I am sure that you will find me more than capable of the task.
I am hoping for that because I have an assignment for you. A test, if you will.
Teacher, he'll sit down in whatever chair is presented, and then he'll just gesture a hand and say, please, any task or request you ask, I'm sure that I am capable of fulfilling it.
It's at this point he'll gesture to the armchairs that you will see. They actually seem to have been moved around since the last time. It seems that he might have had a flight of fancy and rearranged his study a little bit. Nothing too major, as he will take a seat.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the memory loss that has been afflicting the kine around the city?
Yes, I have. Some kindred have asked me questions, others have given me answers. It would seem that individuals are disappearing and families' memories are being wiped, as it were. I do have some knowledge that it apparently is all associated around a. He wasn't told the name of the hospital, but our character it's a hospital. He'll name the hospital. Yes, this certain place seems to be where these families are all associated.
That is correct. You are proving to be quite capable at this task. But you are correct. This seems to be the case, and your assignment is to get to the bottom of this. I shall be leaving for a week or so. I am going on pilgrimage. And in the meantime, you will be a liaison between Rena's finest and their prefect, Alex Blackmoon. You and another Lasombra anti-tribute like myself, one Emma Bellafleur, will be representing the coterie on my behalf for the time being. You are going to assist Rena's finest in uncovering the source of this memory loss and punishing whoever is responsible for this blatant break of the masquerade, with all the wrath that God's chosen is allowed to visit upon them. Do this, and you will prove yourself more than capable.
There's a slight
welcome as a true member.
There's a slight smirk on Graves' face as you say punish and destroying. I'm always intrigued by mysteries, and this one is quite a complexing one. I think I will. I agree. I will perform this task. I do have my concerns that this perhaps is some form of trickery or a trap. It seems too messy, as if someone's left too many clues.
Then it shall be your prerogative to trick the trap, then, Mr. Graves. Bring your instincts and your expertise to bear. Prove to the city why we are necessary to safeguard the souls of its inhabitants and safeguard them against the sin and darkness that has so ingrained itself into this city.
I am more than happy and willing to accept this task. I do have one minor request, if I may ask.
You may.
I'm at a somewhat critical juncture in my research, and I need some, perhaps I do not know if it's minor or yes, I would say minor funding to the extent of paying a tailor a certain sum of money.
Hmm. How much money do you need, Mr. Graves?
I do not
As
have
the
the.
initiate, you are entitled to draw from our resources, as long as it is within reason and necessity.
He pauses and thinks for a second. It is a matter that I need a certain piece constructed for to advance my research, which I'm sure that you and the church itself will benefit greatly from. But the matter of financing such a project or an item to be made will be somewhat costly. It depends on this tailor's pricing.
Hmm. If it is an item that will not draw suspicion to our coterie, then you may draw upon his recesses within the amount that is within reason, which out of character would be probably maybe like 1 or 2 dots of resources.
You have to.
If
I've got.
it
Sorry, I have
is,
character. I've got to talk. I've got to talk to the guy to find out how much. But
it wouldn't most likely like just be
yeah.
maybe 1 dot, but 1 dot is still quite a lot of resources. So, anywho, if it is something that will draw suspicion to our coterie, then you will need to prove that you are able to handle yourself first.
The reason I seek out this individual to create such an item is to help hide it, as it were, to keep it within the masquerade.
All right, then. You may draw upon our resources for now. But fail in this task that I have given you, and you will be indebted the money that you have spent, as well as the shame you would have brought upon this august faction.
He he bears a sly sort of grin and of course, these are fair terms.
Very well. I have one last request. Before you seek out Alex Blackmoon, go to this address and find my fellow clansmate, as he will hand this letter to Dietrich Graves. This is for her eyes only. It is her instructions. She is already a member of the Theocracy, but she must prove herself to be loyal to this party just as much as you must earn your place through your own trial. These are her marching orders. I hope you two will be able to work together, perhaps in this task, perhaps it is even related.
So just out of character, did you say Alex? Did you say Black Moon or did you mean Emma
Yes, he
Belfort?
wants you to give a letter to Emma Bellafleur,
Sorry, I thought you said
and
Black Moon as well.
before you go to Alex Blackman.
All right, sorry, yeah, I was going to give the letter to Black Moon. I was thinking, what? No, okay, yeah, fine,
Yeah,
okay.
that would not be good.
No, I was going to say as well. He he'll so yeah, Emma Black. Sorry, Emma will be joining in this case. He'll go. Is there anything that you can tell me of this new initiate, so that I can better prepare myself for her?
Ah, yes. Given your more recluse nature, I should warn you that she, well, how should I put this? She likes to hug people.
As soon as you say that, Dietrich is just he puts on a very kind of discomforting face of yes, I know the type. Uh, I well, I thank you. I shall feel better prepared at least.
She possesses a life and energy that is very rare amongst the kindred race. It is it is something that she can use in her specific talents to great effect. But it is also something that can disquiet those of a more refined nature, such as you and myself. Is that all, Mr. Graves?
He, Graves paused for further thought, and he thinks on this new figure, this Lasombra introduced. He will actually, yeah, he's going to be bold here. I do have one, well, perhaps not to be answered now, but a question of your clan, which I assume is Lasombra. He tries to say in a not rude way, as he's never really spoken the name before. I have concerns and interests in this ability you have to manipulate your shadow. It is quite unique. I've never seen such a thing.
It is no more out of the ordinary for we magisters than it is for your more, dare I say, corpse-like appearance. Your connection to death is obvious in your blood, as is my clan's connection to a place man was not meant to go. That connection is what you are so fascinated with, correct?
Yeah, he smiles, and he seems that you've caught on to what he's thinking there. No, you are, yes, you seem quite aware. I seem to be quite obvious in my questioning. Yes, this connection is what intrigues me greatly. The connection of us to other worlds, as it were.
I would advise a bit of warning in this line of thought, Mr. Graves. There is a reason why a normal human being does not have any connection to these nether realms as we kindred do. That connection is the byproduct of our curse. And such thought will endanger your own immortal soul should you delve too recklessly into it. If you can prove you have the wisdom and the self-control, the humanity to do so, I would be happy to share with you more on my clan's particular proclivities towards the shadows. But I must warn you, this knowledge comes with a price all its own.
Yeah, Dietrich, he's reminded of a conversation he had a long time back of there's always price for knowledge, and he gives a smirk and yes, yes. There is always a price for such things, but depends if one is willing to pay it, I guess.
As the father sort of smiled at Ernest, his smile betraying some sort of part of himself he has not shown in a while, as he sort of looks at Dietrich, reminded so much of someone he used to know. Yes, he will say, "Very well, Mr. Graves, prove that you are capable, and as a member of the Theocracy in proper form, you will be able to draw upon our resources, perform admirably, and you will be even more rewarded for your efforts."
Um, He gives a simple nod.
When I return, I will personally see
Oh.
to that.
He gives a simple nod. He feels he's more than capable. He's quite arrogant. He feels more than capable of the task. And I'm sure that you'll be pleasantly surprised by my results. And I will leave you to continue your prayers and be rest assured that your dealings in Reno will go smoothly in the coming week while you're away.
Have a pleasant evening, Mr. Graves, and go with grace unto God. As he will bow his head again.
Yeah. Graves will just reply the gesture, and yeah, he'll turn to walk away, and is thinking quite heavily on what was just said. But yeah, he'll carry on walking through the church, and now I think he'll pause for a few moments to have a bit more of a glance around the church and the glass windows that are decorated around, and the the dark, unholy or holy unholy eye that is looking down from above, and then proceed to leave.
Father Escalara is waiting on the other side of the door, and after holding his head bowed in respect to Dietrich Graves, who he now knows is an initiate within the Theocracy, he enters the door and closes it behind him, leaving Mr. Graves to walk the rest of the way up to his car and to drive back to the bunker to continue his experiments. The ghoul walks towards Father Alvarez, who has left his study and is now sort of hovering next to one of the statues of the 7 kindred, each one of the original founders of the Camarilla. He seems to be standing in front of the one that had once been recognized as the statue of the Tremere, now the only statue in the place that has been faced completely lacking a head. This headless statue still retains the nobility that it once held, as the father just stares as it. The ghoul approaches him and says, "Did that go as you had hoped, Father Alvarez?" To which the father turns to him, unreadable, and smiles, saying, "Yes, it did. Hopefully, Dietrich and him will be able to complete their task. Their performance may depend on our plans for the coming months." As the ghoul will shake his head again and say, "Will you be heading off immediately, or shall I send for one of the herd to come visit you, Father?" To which La Sombra again looks back at the headless statue and sighs and says, "No, I shall head off immediately. I have a long journey ahead of me to Vatican City, and I must make this journey as swift as possible." As the ghoul moves to the side as Father Alvarez walks out of the night chapel and begins his pilgrimage. And that is where the scene will end.